Whew. That was a close one. Yeah, that was a real pain in the ass getting this damn hollow mask off me. No? Okay. Well, hello Vicers, YouTubers, and, internet alike. Welcome quick, SaudyFan16 here, back for yet another edition of Dunce Cap. But today marks a milestone in Dunce Cap history, and that is because this is going to be the first ever Dunce Cap episode covering all hentai material. That's right, that's right. Said no holds barred for Dunce Cap, and that includes hentai material. It will be covered. No problem with that at all. And so anyways, I got two titles here with me that I will cover, and we'll get right to that, So the first one is a wonderful comedic series that I found on a scan site, of course, that I just recently received, and this is the third printing of this series. So it's fresh from April 2011, so pretty excited and everything. And it's brought to us by Eros Comix and Manga Erotica, and it is titled Dominate Me by Seishu Takamura. Now, in Japan, this series is known as Take On Me, and there are two volumes. This is volume 1, and it's the only one translated into English and available elsewhere, in the US and worldwide and whatnot. Second volume has not been picked up yet as far as I know. I'm really hoping that it does, because I would really like to have it to complete this series. But as far as the name change, basically, pretty sure the name change was because there was a hit song called Take On Me, and they must have changed it just to avoid possible, legal problems and whatnot. So yeah, so Take On Me in the US is known as Dominate Me, and you will, as usual with manga, usually I show you, some of the artwork and images. I will not, because these are hentai material, and I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube or Anime Vice alike. So, that will not be happening. So only covers will you be shown and everything. Anyways, on to the stuff. Yeah, like I said, it's 2 volumes and everything. Really fun comedy. Well, get to skip the some of the topics and everything. So the drawing, I really enjoyed the drawing. Like, of course, it's got some parts where it's more detailed, and then other parts where it's not so detailed and everything. But overall, like, the detail is pretty good and everything for the style that it is, for being a hentai manga and everything. But really enjoyable. I mean, it's got really soft kind of tones to, like, a lot of the background and everything, and you get a lot of your little, like, kind of like your scratching of, like, what sounds they're making and stuff like that, and kind of the actions that are happening. And, like, the paneling is pretty good too. Like, I really have, like, no problem with figuring out what to read next or anything like that, and so the flow works really good as well. Just as from page to page. I did notice, like, 1 or 2 pages, the edge was kind of cut off early, or, like, the print wasn't fully centered on the page, and so I didn't, well, I had, like, most of the words, but it was just kind of, like, a little off and everything like that. And of course, like, you got a couple of color pages in here, here and there, and it looks like it's actually just a picture out of, if this was animated, which would actually be kind of funny. But but yeah, and then as far as, like, the story goes and everything, it's It's romantic and funny. It's got, you know, some fetishes, and there's a couple of parts in the story where that, more so in the second volume, that kind of make me sad that, you know, it's happening and everything, you know, and get me thrown off a little bit. But overall, I really enjoy it. It makes me laugh. I sit here and enjoy reading it. It doesn't take me very long to read, you know. It's just fun and, you know, comedic, and how just, you know, these interactions are. And the cool thing is too, there's not a lot of characters. There's, you know, 3 girls and 2 guys basically. So it's really simple, you know, for how, well, okay, in the first volume there's 3 girls, 2 guys. In the second volume, 2 more boys get added in. But it's you know, so it's not really hard to keep track of the characters. The characters are certainly interesting, you know, because yeah, you got the main boy, Tomonori Suda, 5'3", really short guy. You know, nothing special really about him at all. He's even shorter. You know, obviously at 5'3", he's shorter than pretty much all the girls too, and everything. And you know, he starts going out with Hikaru Ono, and she is 6'1", so she is way up there taller than him and everything. So, well, and you know, they have a relationship of sorts and everything, and so definitely kind of interesting, and especially because of Hikaru's sister Kei, who looks like she's in middle school and she's a 26-year-old virgin. So you know, that's pretty funny, everything. Of course, then you got, you know, the other couple in here. You know, you got a baseball stud and like the director or captain of the team or whatever, you know. So, but yeah, fun, comedic, and everything. I don't want to sit here and like ruin too much and everything. You know, the relationships are, you know, kind of your sort of standard, but more like teenagey kind of relationships as far as, you know, hentai goes and everything. You know, but it's fun and all that. Of course, yeah, I've said fun probably far too much, but it's enjoyable. You know, it's not exactly, you know, cheap. You know, of course, I think you can get it for like $15 off of Amazon or Right Stuff, something like that, and all that. But yeah, as I say, it's a hentai, so you know, adults only. Don't let your kids be reading this stuff. But and the cool thing is, it's the standard, you know, right to left for the reading and everything. So it's always good when it's you know, kept in the standard and whatnot. But yeah, it's from 2004 though. Yeah, so yeah. Okay, I've blabbered enough on this one. So, but I really enjoy this. I give this. It's one of my favorites, really. So, as far as, you know, for my rating and everything, I have to get this a 5 out of 5 for me, just because I enjoy it so much. It's got that comedy. It's got, you know, the relationships. You know, it's not just kind of like your standard run-of-the-mill hentai. It's actually got a nice little story to it. You know, that just happens to have a lot of sex in it. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of how, you know, Dominate Me goes. All right, on to the first one that I bought. I bought this one actually off of eBay because it's kind of difficult to find. Well, I was only able to find it on eBay. Otherwise, I would have to have gone actually to the Eros Comics website and bought it. But this is like a culmination. There is no actual like volume set. This is just like the entire collection of it, and that is the wonderful and funny collection of Slut Girl. You know, yeah, like I say, done by Eros Comics. You know, creator, illustrator is Isatoshi and everything, and of course Manga Erotica as well. But this one though actually reads left to right, like standard, but it's like the combination of everything. And as you can see, it's, you know, comparatively to my head, it's large. You know, I mean, when you compare it, sit these side by side, look at the size difference here. You know, it's about a good 1.5 inches or so in size difference in tall, how tall they are, but Dominate Me is longer. But everything, really heavy duty, stuff here and everything, and all that. But yeah, this is all there is for this title and everything. It was published in 1999 in Japan, and it came out. It was published in 6 issues of comics in the U.S. by Eros Comics in 2000, and it was originally published in 2003 by Kodansha as Slut Girl Plus Alpha, and that's how I originally knew it, because there was some extra little chapter. But I'm pretty sure that is included in here as it, because the Alpha is just a really kind of simple little ending, I'm pretty sure. And so yeah, but the story for this, though, is really simple. It's Sayoko Bazen, just she is Slut Girl, but she doesn't seem like much and everything, but she is actually quite smart, and she just really enjoys her sex. But like she's really smart and everything, but she like goes all over the place. So she's racking up debt everywhere, causing problems and all sorts of shit and everything. And what happens is she happens upon this boy, Satoru Ichi. He is straight out of the sticks. Like, he has no idea. He's one of those typical ones that kind of get portrayed as, all right, I'm getting into the city and I'm gonna save up my money and I'm gonna, have a call girl and all that, because he's a virgin and all that. And so it's really funny how he freaks out about things and everything. And the story just, kind of basically then, follows their relationship. Not so much development, but just kind of like how these two work together to kind of make ends meet. And Satoru like starts meeting her friends that she knows, like this French goddess who's coming to Japan to do acting and modeling and stuff, and he's able to meet and hook up with her hanging out. And you can and a biker chick that's a former business partner of Sayoko's. She lives with him for I don't know how long, for at least a month or so, and just kind of just doing whatever. And then you got this kind of fake nurse, that comes in. She's a friend of Sayoko's too, and it's actually quite funny and everything. It's obviously it's the typical male humor, but it's an older style of humor too. I mean, obviously, it was first published in '99, so slightly kind of older, style of humor and everything. But it's funny and everything, story wise and all that. And so I really enjoyed it, because it's innocent and just dirty at the same time. No strange fetishes or anything like that. Just your typical run-of-the-mill kind of hentai dealy of goofiness and semi harem work and everything, because this kid's just a nobody and everything. He's the ugly little bastard, and he starts hooking up with all these babes, and let's just say it's the standard kind of thing, once in enough, because like there's like one in here, like he has like he's going with like 2 girls, and he gets each of them like 5 times. So definitely not taking things laying down. But so that's kind of how that is. The drawing, really simple. And I don't think this story would have been helped in any way if there was more detail to it. I think just the light heart, just how light the drawing is, and this, the simplicity of it just is how this was best kept to keep the comedy rolling, to just to have everything work and fit I actually found a page here where it's you know, I can actually kind of show you just the simplicity of the anime or the drawing and everything. You know, it's pretty simple and whatnot and all that. And like, you know, there's a bunch of innuendo and language and kind of, and like there's so many like thought bubbles too, like kind of like back and forth. But I mean, in general, there's not a super lot of dialogue either. Just, I mean, there's a lot of thought bubbles and, you know, just, you know, the thought things, not like narration and whatnot. I mean, there can be quite a few panels on a page, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 8 panels or something like that on a page. But it's really simple, everything, and like say the animation or the drawing, you know, isn't super detailed. It's a little more detailed depending on like what it is. Like maybe if they're showing like you know, like a close-up in any way of like you know, like a character's, you know, face or their features or anything like that. You know, it's but otherwise, you know, it's you know, it's really simple and everything like that. So yeah, but otherwise, you know, it's enjoyable. It's a laugh. I actually ended up reading this so much at some point when I was reading the scans that it actually kind of lost its funniness, and I put this away for a while, got back out to read for, you know, this episode of Dunce Cap, and I laughed again, you know, so I very much enjoyed it. One thing I actually kind of forgot to mention, and actually I would give this 5 out of 5 as well, because it's simple. It's just boom, one story, one simple volume that has everything, and boom, you know, it's, so there's nothing complicated to it. It's a really simple story, and the ending actually kind of makes it, I'm kind of sad about the ending, but given you know, just how the characters are and whatnot, it's just kind of how it works. But yeah, when you think about it, you know, it's just kind of like things will work out. You know, it'll be good. But yeah. But one thing I did forget to mention, I will start off with mentioning about Slut Girl, is comparing, you know, the actual published edition to the scans. Slut Girl, I really don't see, I didn't really recognize much of differences between how the people who did the scans did it and how this was done. Actually, considering how long this has been out, I'm pretty sure actually like the scans were probably of the actual published work, so that's why I really didn't feel like there was much of a difference, or if any, so everything. So and I felt it was a really good job and everything like that. So good job and everything like that. But back to Dominate Me real quick. I was originally, you know, just reading the scans, the fan scans for it, and I noticed a number of differences in the wording between the scans and the published work, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of liked how some of the wording was in the scans better. I'm not gonna lie, like I mean, good job with, you know, with the editing and translation and everything. I mean, I'm not complaining about that. Just so somehow the wording was for different parts. I liked it better in the scans. Like it felt like it was a bit more like real, or sounded a bit better with the scans. So that's really my only issue with Dominate Me, is with that. But other than that, you know, just, you know, yeah, these are solid works. I have a lot of fun reading these. These are my only 2 that I own, and everything. I look forward to, you know, getting more in the future and reviewing them here. But let me know. I know I ran pretty long just for reviewing, you know, 2 titles. But hey, YouTubers, internet, you know, vicers alike, let me know what you think about these. You know, I know there's some people that enjoy these, and these 2 are some of my favorite, you know, titles. You know, when it comes to hentai. So yeah, let me know what you think. And hey, I am SaudiFan16, and this has been the first ever, you know, hentai episode of Dunce Cap. So peace.